Coming straight out of Canton, 24/7, 365. From the Hall of Fame city, this is Uncensored Football. Yo, welcome back to another episode of Uncensored Football. I'm your host, Zach Zander, with EJ Savavik. What is going on, EJ?
What's up, Z, man? What a great day yesterday. Another good day today with two Monday night matchups. Let's talk about yesterday, bud. That was a fun day, huh?
Absolutely. We're going to get to the Monday night games later, but first, it was week one, Red Zone Channel, 1 p.m. I mean, it was glorious. Football was being played. Fuck COVID. Fuck everything else. And we got down to playing football. Thank God. And what was your takebacks of week one, the first Sunday slate?
I mean, right off the rip, bud. I mean, I was about the running backs right away for me. Studying them Thursday night. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, David Johnson. That's right, David Johnson, looking like 2016 David Johnson. Boy, did the running backs have a show, put a show on. Thursday night just started off an awesome week, and Sunday did not disappoint either.
Yeah, there was some running backs that really came out and were the bell cows that you wanted. Kamara came out and played. Edwards-Helaire. Ezekiel Elliott on Sunday Night Football. He showed out, and I know there's somebody you want to talk about. You can't wait, and he was in almost every winning DFS lineup. That boy Josh Jacobs. What was your take from Josh Jacobs' big day against Carolina?
It is exactly what we thought, bro. He was the one-man team. 25 carries, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he had 6 targets in the pass game. That's right, 6 targets. That means they try to get this man the ball 31 times. That's what you want. Josh Jacobs' volume is ridiculous. Keep firing that man up. Trade for him. Get Josh Jacobs, because guess what? It doesn't get any harder, really. He's going to New Orleans next, then New England. It gets a little tough at Buffalo, KC, I guess, but his schedule is lovely. He's got Tampa Bay down there, Cleveland, Chargers, Denver. So just Josh Jacobs show, man. It's going to be a good year fantasy-wise for Josh Jacobs.
Good luck trying to buy him right now. What idiot is going to sell Josh Jacobs after how good he looked last week or just yesterday? And going into week 2, I mean, they're not going to be playing Carolina again, but I was really liking that Raiders offense. Henry Ruggs, thank God he was okay.
My guy.
Had an explosive play right off the bat. And Josh Jacobs got the easy 1-yard touchdown. Derek Carr looked good. Waller looked good. Renfro's nice in the slot. Bryan Edwards didn't pop like I really wanted to. But I'm really high on this Raiders offense because they dominated the offensive line, and I really liked what they were doing. But on the other end, let's go to a running back situation that wasn't so lovely yesterday, and it was the Cleveland Browns with Nick Chubb. Everybody had Nick Chubb in their starting lineup, and he had a couple nice runs. He also had a fumble. EJ, are we going to panic on this overreaction Monday? Are we going to sit back and wait for Nick Chubb to produce?
I mean, out of all my bold takes, man, out of that top 10, my bold takes, I missed on Nick Chubb. It was like every time I turned the game on, Kareem Hunt was in. I mean, how do you have a guy like Nick Chubb on your team and only give him 10 carries for 60 yards? That's averaging 6 yards a carry, and you're only going to get a guy. I get it, they were losing. But you know what? He had 1 catch for 6 yards. But, it wouldn't have been as bad of a loss. I mean, I already predicted that, Baltimore was going to womp on them boys. But it wouldn't even have been that terrible. They would have just gave Nick Chubb the ball 20 sometimes. At least they would have at least put some more points on the board. Yeah, dude, I did not like how Stefanski favored Kareem Hunt. I get it. He was the passing guy, and they were down. But what the hell's wrong with Nick Chubb's hands? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was disappointing, and I think it had a lot to do with game flow. Browns were getting that ass beat. It was 24-6, 31-6, 38-6 before you knew it, and Nick Chubb was sitting on the sideline. Kareem Hunt got some of the garbage carries. I was surprised he wasn't used more in the pass game. All around, the Browns looked like dog shit. Odell looked like shit, could not get any separation against Marcus Peters and the rest of those stout Baltimore corners. It was pretty disappointing for a Browns fan, and if you own any piece of the Browns, you have to be a little scared. But welcome Cincinnati on Thursday, so you're going to get a quick turnaround for the Browns to try to make up for yesterday. So going on down the line, it was a defense that we brought up last week, and it was Chase Young and that sick defensive line for the Washington football team against Carson Wentz, down 17-0, scored 27 straight points to beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. That was one of the most, I guess, eye-popping moments of the Sunday, was the Redskins coming back, scoring 27 in a row, shutting down Carson Wentz, who looked very average. What were your takeaways from that game?
The Philly offensive line. We knew they were going to take a hit when, what's his name? Brandon Brooks. Sorry, excuse me. Brandon Brooks went down a couple months ago. We knew it was going to be rough, but not that rough. I mean, that was pathetic. I get it. We hyped that Washington football team up. We've been hyping them up since last April. But, you know, to dominate the Philadelphia line like that, you know, and then Boston Scott didn't do anything. And I don't know why, but they still hold on to Corey Clement. I didn't like him in Wisconsin, really. I don't like him in Philly. But why is Corey Clement still in the rotation, you know? Peterson, you know, he likes that running back carousel. But with that line, I'm worried. I'm absolutely worried. I did like see Jalen Reagor out there. And what did he do? He had 16 targets to the tight ends. People were getting Goddard for free in the 14th, 15th, 16th round. And it paid dividends yesterday because Goddard was his favorite target yesterday.
That's why I never trusted Miles Sanders to be an RB1. I always thought he was going to be an RB2 because Doug Peterson is a running back by committee guy. No matter what, no matter who his starter is, he's always going to work in at least one other back, if not two. He always rotates like three backs. So I never trusted Miles to be that guy. And then now he's hurt. So, and then Boston Scott, he was slated to get all the workload, and then he doesn't get carries. It was a sad situation for the run game in there. So we've been talking about the running backs. Any wide receivers that popped off yesterday that you maybe were predicting, or maybe some that jumped out and really impressed you?
I mean, Devonte Adams, 17 targets, 14 catches, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that's right. Devonte Adams is – I mean, when we talked about a pissed-off Aaron Rodgers – we saw the pissed-off Aaron Rodgers.
We were talking about it all offseason, EJ. We were talking about Devonte Adams being that guy first, second, and third look for Aaron Rodgers, and that Aaron Rodgers showed some zip on that ball. Looked like he was 30 years old again.
Absolutely, bro. Devonte Adams was crazy. And I'm going to go ahead and the next two were misses for me, but I like to admit when I'm right, and I like to admit when I'm wrong. Go ahead, start the roast fest. I said Adam Thielen was on the decline. I wasn't sure he could be a wide receiver one up against corner ones, CB ones, and I was wrong. Start the roast, Z. I'm ready for it.
Hey, Adam Thielen, what I tell you, 2 years ago, 111 receptions. Even when Stephon Diggs was there, him and Kirk Cousins have a special connection. Now, it might have been in some garbage time, but guess what? I love garbage time fantasy points because they count just as well as normal fantasy points, man. So give me Adam Thielen. They don't have a solid wide receiver two yet. Justin Jefferson hasn't emerged to be that guy. Johnson isn't the guy either. They use the tight ends. They use the running backs a lot in the pass game. But the one thing is a given in Minnesota is Kirk Cousins is going to look for Adam Thielen early and often. And Thielen showed that he still had some speed. You see him get deep. I mean, he had a couple long catches. So Thielen is a guy that feel comfortable being a top 12 wide receiver the rest of 2020. So you were wrong on that, EJ. But let's get to a couple things you were right about. My man actually was right on a few things. Now, I'm going to bring it up, man, and I'll admit I was wrong. We're going to play a little who was right, who was wrong on week one. And I was wrong on Cam Akers being the guy from day one. And EJ was shouting Malcolm Brown since Cam Akers was drafted in April. And, okay, go ahead, EJ. Tell me about Malcolm Brown and what he did last night.
I just had a feeling that that's going to be McVay's guy. I just knew it. Last year he tried to go away. What'd they do? I mean, we talked about this before they even drafted Cam Akers. Malcolm Brown is a big dude, man. And, you know, he did not let him go to Detroit for a reason. McVay likes Malcolm Brown. And what did that guy do with his opportunities last night, man? 18 carries, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he was catching balls. They threw the big guy 4 targets. He caught 3 of them for 31 yards. Malcolm Brown, man, that's somebody that everybody is going to be running to grab on the waiver. But guess what? I got him for free at least 12, 13 leagues at the end. I mean, I got him everywhere for free. So Malcolm Brown is looking lovely. I mean, I know it's just week one and all, but tell you what, man.
It is week one, and Malcolm Brown knows this system. You're exactly right. You look like a fucking genius right now because he knows the system. He knows McVay's game. and he can play on third downs. Cam Akers is my guy, and he was still the starter. He was getting a ton of looks on first and second down. He wasn't playing on third. They were rotating Darrell Henderson, and also Malcolm Brown was getting all the weighted carries. Cam Akers still had over 10 touches, didn't do a ton in the run game, had one receiving catch. He eluded a few guys. He didn't have too much room. I was watching it very closely, as everybody can assume. So don't give up on Cam Akers. Malcolm Brown has had a history of never staying healthy, but for the time being, Malcolm Brown looks to be getting the weighted touches on a run-heavy offense. Go out and get Malcolm Brown. EJ, take a victory lap on that one, man. Malcolm Brown showed out week 1.
He sure did, man. I'm getting all kinds of questions. How much fab should I spend on Malcolm Brown? You better pay for that, man, because he's looking like the running back one there. And I'll tell you what, man, they had that Super Bowl hangover last year, but the Rams look like they're serious, man. With a coach like that, you could never count them out, and they looked good, especially the way they utilized Robert Woods. And it was fun to watch, and they did upset the Cowboys. I was shocked to see it. I know my money was on the Cowboys, but the Rams look for real again. They really do.
Oh, man, I was so pissed to hear all the Sean McVay hate 2 years ago. And then he was the guy. He was the darling of the NFL. Sean McVay came into the Rams and turned Jared Goff into a Super Bowl starting quarterback. He made Todd Gurley be the fantasy MVP, and they have multiple wide receivers that are startable every single week in fantasy. It was really exciting to see, and it was bullshit. This team went 8-8 last year, and everybody threw them to the side. Yes, they overpaid Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but they are the best players at their position. Jared Goff is a good quarterback for their system. Offensive line is better than last year. Watch out for the Rams. They can play, and I think they're going to be in the playoff hunt all year.
That defense is still legit, too. I mean, did you see
Donald? When Aaron Donald is he is a guy. You're exactly right. So let's go on. I want to toot my own horn a little bit, and I know it's a guy you jumped on late, but Josh Kelly got in to play with Eckler, took some of those goal line carries away. Justin Jackson got hurt. My boy Josh Kelly, the 4th-round pick out of UCLA, who was my sleeper pre-draft, was my sleeper after draft, was my sleeper dynasty, my sleeper and redraft. I own this guy everywhere. I am super pumped for him because he is going to be in that Melvin Gordon role. All it took was him to get a shot. He showed out with 12 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown. He was running hard. I compared him to a poor man's Kareem Hunt. Guess what? He might be a legit Kareem Hunt comparison. Josh Kelly, go get him. If he's somehow on the free agent wire, try to be sneaky in Dynasty and maybe go get him. This dude has some star potential. Eckler is not an in-between-the-tackle guy all the time. Somehow they weren't using him in the pass game. Eckler still ate a little bit too. This is going to be a run-first team. I'm sorry, Keenan Allen. If you've seen my stock report, if anybody saw my Dynasty stock report last week, Keenan Allen was a stock down. And I'm sorry, it's because of Tyrod Taylor. He's not going to be able to facilitate a wide receiver one. I'm sorry, guys. EJ, what do you think about that Josh Kelly tape yesterday?
And Josh Kelly could have walked away with 2 touchdowns because later on in the game, they were on the goal line, and guess who they brought in? Joshua Kelly. And he got stuffed 2 times on the goal line. So he could have walked away in his NFL debut with a 2-touchdown score like that man Dobbins, with a little bit better carries. But, Austin Eckler, Zach, you're wrong there. He got 19 carries for 84 yards. They were absolutely running Austin Eckler. We're talking a more beefed up Austin Eckler too. But they ran that guy 19 times between the tackles a lot. So Austin Eckler is going down the middle. But I agree, though. Joshua Kelly is that guy that I'm so excited about. I'm trying to get Joshua Kelly on all my teams that I don't already have him. Because
go buy him cheap in Dynasty, guys. I'm telling you, go buy Josh Kelly cheap right now before it gets too expensive. And why did everybody like Eckler? It wasn't because of his rushing stats, which were nice. They wanted him because of the 90-plus receptions and 900 yards, and he had 1 catch yesterday for 3 yards.
1 target. Tyrod Taylor looked pretty bad.
This is a different offense. Eckler's not the same guy as last year. It's going to be a kind of a close to a 50-50 split between Eckler and Josh Kelly, as long as the game isn't out of hand and they don't have to come back from 2 touchdowns down and throw every single time. Josh Kelly was a guy I've been loving since before the draft, and he landed in a perfect spot. Him and Eckler complement each other really well, and they're going to need it because Tyrod Taylor cannot move this team up and down with his arm.
It
No
needs
way.
to be Justin Herbert season. I know Herbert can drop off to CJ Verdell at Oregon. I'm pretty sure he can utilize Austin Eckler in the pass game. Until Herbert gets in there, man, I don't know. It's pretty rough, but yeah, absolutely. Here's a guy that I'm not buying though. Everybody's gonna go out and get Peyton Barber. That's right, Peyton Barber. At Uncensored Football, we laughed about you all off season. That why would the Washington football team even sign this guy? And so you showed us, buddy, 17 carries, 29 yards, but the 2 touchdowns. You got in the end zone twice. You showed us Peyton Barber, but I'm not thrilled. I think it's a 1-week wonder. I don't think that Peyton Barber is going to have 2 touchdowns a week. That's for damn sure. What about you? What's your thoughts on Peyton?
Barber, I'm not excited at all about that. It was kind of a fluke, couple touchdowns. He's a very touchdown dependent guy, which I don't like in fantasy. Big sell for that. No thanks. I'm not going out and even getting Peyton Barber in leagues. Here's another guy might have been wrong week 1, but at the end of the day, I think I'm right about, and it's Chris Carson. 2 receiving touchdowns yesterday. Didn't really, impress anybody on the ground, which was usually his game. They let Russell Wilson open the field up from day 1, from quarter 1, and it was beautiful to see Russell Wilson doing those things in the first and second quarter when they usually wait to the end of the game to let Russ just do his thing. It was beautiful. And Chris Carson had 2 easy receiving touchdowns. I don't think that's going to pan out for the rest of the season. I would sell him if he has any value, if he's on your team. What do you think of Carson, and you think he can keep that up?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, they only ran the guy 6 times, and Carlos Hyde had a carry over him. Carlos Hyde had 7 carries to Chris Carson 6, and who did they punch in the end zone? Carlos Hyde, not Chris Carson. I'm selling him right now. You're right, Z. Sell that man. Get your value right now, because I don't know what's going on there. It looks like it's a 50-50 committee, and Carlos Hyde looked really good compared to Chris Carson running the ball, I thought. So, yeah, that's my thoughts there, buddy. Hey,
yeah, I want to bring –
Oh,
my bad. You go.
There's something that we both were really, really hyping up, and we were right on, and that's Aaron Jones, the return of Aaron Jones. What did he do? 16 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown. That's right. He didn't decline. But then he got 6 targets from Aaron Rodgers, and we always brag about Aaron Jones, A-plus elite hands. Aaron Jones ain't going nowhere. They're going to get a deal done. I'm telling you, if you stuck by Aaron Jones and where you got him, I mean, I literally was grabbing him at the midpoint of the second round. There was no reason that guy didn't go into the first round. Everybody was scared of that A.J. Dillon draft, I guess. I don't know, but Aaron Jones looked like a baller still, man. Did you check that Green Bay game out?
Aaron Jones is beautiful. Where his ADP was, it was stupid to me. I thought he was still a top 8 back. Anybody that faded him, in Dynasty, I faded him because I do think A.J. Dillon can be there. He doesn't have that deal yet in Green Bay. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. And if they're letting it get into the season and an injury can occur, something else can occur, I don't know if they're going to get a deal done. I'm not so sure. That was more or less Aaron Jones saying he's going to get a deal, but I guess I don't know. It didn't happen yet. So either way, if we're talking 2020 redraft, give me Aaron Jones as a legit RB1 all day. He's going to get the TD production. He's going to get the PPR value, and he's going to be the bell cow there, more like a 70-30 split between the other 2 running backs. A.J. Dillon got in there, had an amazing run where he just plowed somebody, but he only got 2 touches. So I don't think he's involved yet in the offense. I think that's going to change. Dillon's going to get in a little bit. Jamal Williams is the safe third down blocker. I'm not fading Aaron Jones at all. This guy's going to be legit. And let's get to another thing I was actually right about, because week 1 was a little hard on my fantasy teams. One of the things I was right on was the whole Dallas wide receiver situation is going to be really tough to predict week to week. Amari Cooper, he was the reception guy. He had the targets. He had all the targets. CeeDee Lamb was really nice in the slot. Michael Gallup had a couple big catches. Had one that, pass interference I thought was kind of bullshit. Jalen Ramsey could have won an Emmy with that one. But what do you think about this Dallas wide receiver core? Because I was saying I like them all talent-wise, but if we're just talking fantasy, man, who is it going to be week to week? It's going to be a 3-headed horse of a wide receiver core that you can't really predict anybody to be a number 1.
I don't know, man. It seemed to me like Dak Prescott sure made Amari his number 1. I mean, you're talking 14 targets compared to CeeDee Lamb 6 and Michael Gallup's 5.
But they
14
weren't
targets.
weighted at all. They were like 5-yard passes. He had 10 catches for like 81 yards, and I know that looks good. That's 18 fantasy points. I get it. But, man, they weren't very weighted. He didn't get any red zone targets.
They look nasty, though. All of CD Lamb, bro, he looks sick to me. I don't know why for some reason, but he literally reminded me like of a young Randy Moss. I don't know. Just the big hands, tall, skinny frame, but CD Lamb looked filthy, bro.
He
And
doesn't have 4.3 speed, but CD Lamb looked very good. Michael Gallup looked good. Amari Cooper looked good. Ezekiel Elliott looked good, and this team only scored 17 points. So
I was heartbroken with my boy Blake Jarwin, though, man.
Is that going to fall on Dak's lap right now? Let's talk some Cowboys. That was your boy. You said he could threaten to be the QB1. They had a lot of opportunities to score, and they only walked away with 17 total points. That's not going to get it done with all those offensive weapons.
No, it's week one, man. It's week one. Dak's been going through, he's been going through it all offseason, asking for way too much money, in my opinion. I will give you that, but at the same time, he's got something to play for. But at the end of the day, he have 266 passing yards. He threw a touchdown. It's not that bad of a day at the office, but they run a lot too, man. Ezekiel Elliott is heavily involved, and that did crush me a little bit that Blake Jarwin is out for the season. That was really one of my big sleeper alerts. And now a guy named Dalton Schultz took over. I remember him over at Stanford. I guess the kid worked his butt off in the offseason. That's somebody to keep an eye on. But, yeah, man, I think Dallas bounced back. Dak is still the guy to me. They're going to Atlanta. He's going to bully that Atlanta defense. I'm sorry, Atlanta's coming to Dallas. But, yeah, I think Dak is still going to bounce back. But
yeah, I think he'll be all right over the season. I'm just saying you got to be pretty disappointed as a Dallas Cowboy fan to only give up 20 points and lose that game. You should feel that offense with those weapons and all that money that's paid for those players should be able to score more than 17 points. You got to be disappointed if you're a
McCarthy
Cowboys fan.
thing, in my opinion. It was,
McCarthy's not going where he signed a big contract. McCarthy isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Right. I'm talking about why they lost that game. I was not impressed with McCarthy. I was real excited about the signing. And like I said, man, I think they bounce back strong next week. If we're going to talk about quarterbacks, though, man, let's talk about the top dogs. That's right. Russell Wilson, man, throwing all over the place. 322 yards, 4 touchdowns. Is this MVP season for Russell Wilson or what?
I don't think they're going to win enough games. It looked good, but that's Atlanta. We talked about it all year. Atlanta's defense is fucking booty, and that's why their offense is going to have to try to score as many points as they did. Matt Ryan got a lot of really nice garbage fantasy points yesterday. So did Calvin Ridley. So did Julio Jones. It kind of worked Todd Gurley outside the game, but he got an early touchdown. That defense is going to be constantly doing that to Atlanta. So I'm sorry, Falcons fans. You're going to need a new coach next year and a new defensive scheme.
But he's terrible, dude.
But I brought it up a little earlier. They let Russell Wilson do his thing from the first snap of the game instead of waiting to the third and fourth quarter. And what did he do? He scored multiple passing touchdowns, and before halftime, they had already basically won the game. DK had a long one. And DK, please, man, work on those hands because you could have had 6-7 catches for like 150 plus yesterday. Work on those hands, boy, please. But Russell, he looked amazing. I think the team defensively isn't going to win enough games for him to maybe win MVP. But, he looked as good as he's ever looked, and he has the weapons there.
Absolutely. That just goes to show how bad of a coach Quinn is. I'm sorry, Atlanta. I can't believe you're sticking by this guy. When your quarterback has 450 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, and you still lose, you still get your butt kicked. Get that guy out of there, man. You got way too much talent there to be wasting it with that coach. He was never good. He had a good year, Super Bowl run because of a man named Shanahan. As soon as Shanahan was gone, the Falcons were gone, man. It's terrible. But, hey, here's some predictions we did right, bud. We're kind of trying to predict, this year's Lamar Jackson to do it all. And we both said Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson. And what did they do, man? They threw the ball around, both threw a touchdown, but they were running all over people. Both rushed for a touchdown as well. Who at that top tier, who's really impressed you the most yesterday?
It's got to be Kyler Murray. We're talking a guy playing the best defense on paper in the league. Nick Bosa, Dee Ford, Richard Sherman, Fred Warner, the linebacking core of the 49ers. He humbled that whole defense. He humbled that whole freaking league almost with his running ability. He's quick as lightning with his throwing ability, and now he has a 5-star tool in DeAndre Hopkins. The Arizona Cardinals are a problem, and this is a guy that impressed me more than anybody in the league yesterday. Who's your guy that impressed you more than anybody yesterday?
I mean, more than anybody at quarterback or just any position?
Just any position.
I mean, at quarterback, I'll tell you what, man. Everybody wanted to count old Phillip Rivers out, man, and that boy was a gunslinger just like in the Chargers. But what did I say, Z? He's finally got an offensive line that is going to protect him. I mean,
you lost. What are you talking about?
But he slinged the ball 45 times for 363 yards and a touchdown. All I'm saying is that you could always depend on Phillip Rivers passing, for over 4,500 passing yards in a season and about 28, 30 touchdowns. He's going to be that, man. He's a lovely free buy.
If I would have chose anybody from the Colts, it'd be the next Austin Eckler and Nyheim Hines. If it doesn't look like a match made in heaven to be the new Eckler, it's with Phillip Rivers, who obviously – how much did he throw to Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines? Like they combined, I think, for 14 catches from the running back position. Throw that to the tight end. I mean, Phillip Rivers is going to throw a lot. And Nyheim Hines is the speed and the size combo to be like the next Austin Eckler. Go get him. He's probably going to be everybody's number one fantasy or a waiver wire pickup. Who's someone that discouraged you? Who looked like shit yesterday? Who's someone that you just are like, oh, man, I thought he was going to look way better than that?
He didn't look like shit, but Kenyan Drake, I thought he was just going to run. I mean, I get it. He's going against the Niners. He had 16 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, but he really wasn't involved in the passing game. He caught 2 balls for 5 yards. I don't know if I overhyped him in my head, but I just thought Kenyan Drake was going to come out and be just a top 5 performer. So I guess I can't really say it was that much of a disappointment. Jonathan Taylor wasn't really involved. He got 9 carries for 22. But he, like you said, he did catch 6 balls for 67 with no more Marlon Mack. I like the arrow pointing up in the future. The guy that disappointed me the most, though, was a man named Mark Ingram. They spelled him in the end zone. That's right. They put J.K. Dobbins in and get Dobbins 2 touchdowns and not Mark Ingram. So I don't know if they were just trying to flex their new toy. But Big Trust had me worried, man, and I thought he was one of the safest draft picks there was. It is just week 1, but Mark Ingram scares me a little bit, bud. But then at the same time, I still would buy him cheap places because I think
he's going to have better days. They're saving him for November, December playoff time. I think, Dobbins really only had the two touchdowns. He didn't have much other. But same game, guy that I thought was going to have a bounce-back season and got shit on. Odell fucking Beckham Jr. looked like dog shit yesterday. He could not create any separation. Marcus Peters was, clowning this guy. It was sad. It was sad for someone that has a lot of Odell Beckham in Dynasty and redraft. I thought he was on the uptick. He was going to regain his value. Baker Mayfield was going to look better this year. The offensive line was going to keep him upright. Odell Beckham could not get open yesterday, but I feel bad for anybody that has to go against this Baltimore Ravens secondary, but Odell Beckham, man, he really discouraged me yesterday. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. The Ravens, they had, their new weapon, Calais Campbell, dropping back and like a safety, 6'8", knocking down passes. That Baltimore defense, avoid them. Let's talk about that, man. That Baltimore defense, to me, right now, Pittsburgh and Baltimore are the 2 top with San Francisco right behind them. But what Baltimore did on the offseason put them in that top 3. Absolutely.
If Lamar gets a lead on you and you have to try to throw against that secondary, it's going to be toast, man. So that's a review of week 1 on the Sunday. Let's preview this loaded Monday night football. We get 2 games, not just 1. We get 2, and it starts off with our Pittsburgh Steelers going to New York, giving 6 points. The over-under is 45. You just brought up T.J. Watt, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Turn down for what? Let's go.
I love the Giants' offense. It's a young and up-and-coming offense. But, EJ, what do you think this game's going to go like?
The defense is too powerful. You got Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt. You got Devin Bush. You got Minka Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward. You got people hitting you everywhere, man. That Steelers defense is official. And the New York Giants and Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones is going to be a good quarterback. He's Eli Manning 2.0. I really think. The guy did bulk up this year, but I'm expecting, 28, 30 touchdown passes, but I'm also expecting 20 interceptions. Daniel Jones is going to definitely have a rough time with that Pittsburgh defense all up in his face all game long. Obviously, Barkley's going to eat, and I think Evan Ingram goes back to being the number one target there. A healthy Evan Ingram. Expect a nice game out of him, PPR-wise.
Yeah, Golden Tate, I think is questionable. I mean, we're doing it middle of the day, so we're not 100% sure what Golden Tate is. If he doesn't play, look for Evan Ingram to be used across the middle. Look for Sterling Shepard to get some targets also. I love this up-and-coming offense. I love Daniel Jones. I don't know if this is going to be his night, guys. Give me Pittsburgh -6. I think it's going to be – I think maybe some garbage points at the end. I'll take the over. Let's say 27 to 17.
So I'm going to take the under. I don't think –
So that's not the over.
I don't think – yeah.
Give me 27-20.
I don't think the Giants are going to be able to put too many points on the board, buddy. But what I do think is,
I think they can get 20 up. I think Daniel Jones will probably score one kind of garbage time, sort of like some of the stuff we were seeing yesterday with the Vikings. Saquon is the only guy I really feel good about on the Giants offense today, just because it's Saquon, and look for it to be used in the pass game. I don't think he's going to run too much against this Steelers defense.
Now, Pittsburgh, I'm expecting them to run often. I mean, I do like the addition with Blake Martinez coming over to the Giants defense. But besides that, man, I just don't see them stopping a Pittsburgh Steeler offense. DeCastro is out. So, some people might think that would hurt James Conner. But against the Giants defense, I'm not worried about it. A healthy James Conner, a healthy Big Ben, put Juju back in the slot with Deontay Johnson on the outside, and a mix between James Washington and the new rookie, Chase Claypool, who I cannot wait to watch. Let's go. And let's not even forget about the new toy out there for Ben, Ebron. Eric Ebron is going to eat, boy, and they are going to feature him. Get Ebron in the end zone. He's going to get in the end zone. Mark it down now. If he's on a waiver wire and you can still pick him up now. Pick him up right now before he hits the waivers.
I'm really interested to see Juju Smith-Schuster healthy. I'm interested to see how Big Ben looks. It's all about Big Ben. This football team is all about Big Ben. That defense is ready to win a title this year. It's all about how Big Ben looks. Is he just a middle-of-the-pack quarterback? Is he an upper echelon guy, or is he just a shell of himself? That's going to dictate how this season goes and probably how this game goes, because I think they can hold the Giants down, but it's going to be obvious because they do have weapons in Pittsburgh. Juju, Deontay, James Washington, Claypool, Ebron. I'm all about it. Offensive line is still solid. DeCastro is out. Maybe they start a little slow. I think Pittsburgh comes out. Big Ben has at least 2 touchdowns, looks pretty good. Give me James Conner with 80, 90 total, probably a touchdown. I'm all about it. Pittsburgh's going to get the win. I'm predicting 27-20. They cover, and it goes over. Any other thoughts on this game before we get to the big Tennessee-Denver matchup?
No, just that I can't wait, baby. Let's go. Here we go, Steve. Here we go.
It is game day. So we are lucky enough to have 2 Monday night games, week 1, and to cap it all off, we have the Tennessee Titans traveling out west to the Rocky Mountains to play the Denver Broncos. They are giving 3 points, and this over-under is only 41. That is pretty tiny for NFL standards. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm saying this game goes under. Both these teams are going to want to try to dominate the offensive and defensive lines. They're going to run the ball a lot. Look for there to be a lot of punts. I'm calling under, and I'm calling the Tennessee Titans to win this game by more than 3 points. Who do you like in the game?
I like Denver, man. I like Denver. Cortland Sutton probably isn't going to play, which is a big hit. We already know what Tennessee is going to do. They're going to run that monster Derrick Henry all game. But guess what? I think Denver's going to flex their new toy in Melvin Gordon. I don't think it's going to be a 50-50 split like everybody's saying coming out of camp. I think that is smoke, man. How do you sit Melvin Gordon for Phillip Lindsay? I'm sorry, Phillip Lindsay's a nice little ball player, but he's never been – I mean, Melvin Gordon 2 years ago was a first-round pick. He had a slow start last year holding out for money. The offensive line was terrible. Well, guess what? The Denver offensive line is not terrible. I'm expecting Melvin Gordon to go over 100, get a touchdown or two. And I'm expecting Drew Lock to come out and say, hey, guys, I could play football. Nobody's really talking about me. He's my sleeper quarterback, man. That guy that, wasn't hyped. Nobody's really talking too crazy about. But I think Drew Lock comes out tonight and shows, hey, I'm a good quarterback in this league.
I think a lot of this game boils down to who just lost a star pass rusher. The Broncos lost Von Miller for the season. And who just gained one? The Tennessee Titans just gained Jadeveon Clowney, coming off that edge, stout against the run. I think they're going to be able to stop Melvin Gordon to a certain extent. I'm interested to see what the split's going to be with Phillip Lindsay. It's going to be some Phillip Lindsay. I think it might be 75-25, 70-30, 60-40. I don't think it's ever going to be 50-50. But can this Denver offensive line hold up to give Drew Lock the time? I think that's the biggest question mark. Landry coming off the edge, Vic Beasley, Jadeveon Clowney, Jeffrey Simmons, one of my favorite rookies last year. The linebacking core solid. I like the Tennessee Titans this season. I like them in this game. But let's switch back to the Denver Broncos offense. You made a great point. Cortland Sutton, if he does play, you don't want him in your lineup. I don't think so. He might have a fluke touchdown or not. Why would they play him and risk this guy? He's a legitimate superstar. So that man, Jerry Jeudy, in his opening game, what do you expect from this guy?
Jerry Jeudy, what better debut could he want, man? The young man from isn't playing from Penn State. Okay, he's out, right? He's rolled out. Wide receiver.
KJ Hamler. Yeah,
he's out.
There's some serious injuries going on in Denver, and I was loving this team preseason.
I think it's the Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant show, man. Noah Fant, this is his game, man. I think right now, all that Noah Fant hype is going to be looked at tonight, and Noah Fant goes off, and Jerry Jeudy gets flooded with targets. Because, besides that, it's going to be Tim Patrick and Deshaun Hamilton, who are Jags to me, just a guy. I'm not crazy excited about either of them, but I am excited about Jerry Jeudy. And when all three of them get healthy, when you got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler, that's some elite. You talk about a basketball team. You got KJ Hamler, the speedster point guard. You got Jerry Jeudy, who runs the cleanest routes out of the whole rookie class. And then Cortland Sutton, a big bruiser. You know what I mean? That's some nasty stuff. And then what was Noah Fant's 40 time?
Big question. Big question if they're healthy. That's the thing. And can they keep Drew Lock up, because the offensive line struggled last year, and I think is a big question mark. I love the talent around it. I really do, but I don't see it popping tonight. Not without Sutton. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to outclass them today on offense and on defense. I think they're a legitimate contender to get sort of deep in the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Ravens again or the Chiefs, but I think they have a good chance to be the number 3 seed in the AFC without a doubt. So we talked about Derrick Henry, but your boy A.J. Brown, is this a game where he can shine? Is there anybody else to look at on that entire offense in Tennessee?
Yeah, Tannehill. Is he a one-year wonder? He had a kid balled out last year. He did really well. But, is Tannehill that franchise quarterback? We're going to see now this season, hey, is this for real or not? But A.J. Brown is for real. We know that kid could ball. He came in there and made Corey Davis look terrible because of all this Corey Davis hype for years, and A.J. Brown comes in and balls out. I love A.J. Brown. You seen what DK did yesterday? Unfortunately, we couldn't get Debo out there yet, but A.J. Brown is going to ball out tonight, boy. They do have some good they did get A.J. Boya from Jacksonville. I love Kareem Jackson. I think
he's probably going to lock up on AJB. I think this is going to be a big Derrick Henry game. And if AJB doesn't get his in the first half, I don't know if he ever is. That's the one thing. I love A.J. Brown. I love his talent. If we want to talk tape, he has some of the best tape his rookie season I've ever seen. I'm worried about his volume sometimes in a run-first offense that plays really good defense, that he kind of gets game flowed out of the game. But A.J. Brown's a baller. At the end of the day, you still want him in Dynasty. He's going to be fine in redraft, but just don't be surprised if he only, has 50 yards today just because they've been running the ball in the third and fourth quarter. So you heard it here. I got the Titans. EJ's got the Broncos. We're going to have a beer on that one, my friend.
Let's do it, man. I love this Broncos. I hope Cortland Sutton plays. I doubt he will, but loss of Von Miller. They got a chip now. Now they're pissed. I still do like that defense, man. I think the defense, Bradley Chubb's still there. Shelby Harris. I mean, let's go. I like the Broncos this year.
They still have a nice secondary. I agree.
Mark Barron, I'm not excited about him, but, I think he'll probably fill in the Von Miller role. We'll see.
We'll see, brother. And, we just went through week 1. We previewed the Monday night games. I mean, this is exciting, man. College football is starting to get into gear. I think the Big Ten is going to play, my man. We are so happy to have football here at Uncensored Football. Don't forget to follow us on all the social medias, all the platforms for the podcast. And EJ, end it for us, brother.
Oh, Uncensored Football, we out.
Yep.